Prayer is a battle. At least that's what the Catechism says. We'll talk a little bit more about what that means. But what's important to know when it comes to battles is when and where and how to retreat. Up this hill is the Nazareth House Retreat Center. A few years ago, when I was a seminarian, we were at a retreat. We were outside with the Eucharistic procession. It began to rain a little bit. And the clouds came, and we came back in, and one of the sisters, who was from a South American country where they didn't have tornadoes, said, "What is a tornado warning?" So immediately the vocation director, Monsignor Brownsy, commanded everybody to go and find the basement. The problem was the retreat center didn't have a basement. So we all crowded down in the basement of the sisters' convent. And there was Jesus exposed in the Blessed Sacrament. One of those poor sisters was supposed to be on a silent retreat. And here 18 smelly college-age men were in her chapel as she was trying to pray to her Lord. The lights were out because of the power, and there was just a candlelight right next to Jesus in the host. We prayed a rosary. We asked God for safety. And when the storm had passed, one of the seminarians, who's now a priest, he went down the hill, this same hill, to try to find the guy who could help restore the generator, which wasn't working. And he got the guy, and they came back. They came down this road, and they drove up this hill here. And as they were trying to drive up this hill, they were stopped by a police officer who said, you can't go up there. The tornado went directly that direction, so it must have taken out Nazareth House. And this seminarian said, no, it didn't. We were just up there. The tornado passed around us. The tornado had been heading directly in this direction, and mysteriously it swerved around this area. So in that moment of prayer, in that moment of taking refuge in God, we were given physical safety, and I thank God for that. Now they're building a new retreat center, by the way, and it's going to have a basement. The bishop is insistent on that after that episode. But probably what's most important is that we know that God wants us to find peace and refuge in Him. In the midst of our trials, our difficulties, God wants us to find peace and refuge in Him every single day. That doesn't mean that we run away from our problems, but it does mean that we retreat into the presence of God. And then what's amazing is we find peace. And instead of hiding away, we can bring that peace into the situations, the relationships that we have. So how and where and when is God calling you to find peace, to retreat? It's great to go on retreats. That's a great blessing, and hopefully in the future soon we'll be able to have that ability. But what's great is to be able to set aside sacred time, sacred place, a sacred space in order to worship God, in order to retreat in Him. That doesn't mean you have to set up a whole chapel in your house, but maybe just a few pictures, as we talked about earlier with a cue. Maybe some candles or a little bit of incense, a table with a nice tablecloth that is kind of your family prayer altar. Whatever it is, it's good just to have that place where you can get by in refuge.